Hey everybody, thanks for checking out this video. My name is William Seaton. I wrote a kid's book by the name of Life Lessons with Mike that I want to do a read along with you guys. So if you have a copy of the book, go ahead and pull it out so you can follow along with us. If you do not have a copy of the book, it's okay. You can still follow along with us. But if you do want to purchase a copy, go to oklahomabooks.com/William Seaton and you can purchase a signed copy of the book, which is 3 short stories with life lessons that are valued of all ages of life. So I think that is something that you guys will enjoy. Once again, I want to thank you guys for your time. I appreciate you guys. Peace and love to you. Mike's first lesson: cheaters never win. Mike Miller had few friends to have fun with at school. He was far from being the most popular kid in his class and rarely had someone to play with at recess. One Monday morning before class, Mike stood outside a huddle of his classmates. They were all talking about their weekend. As the bell rang, the kids sat down and waited for the teacher to go over the lesson plan. The teacher begins to pass out little square sheets of paper with 20 math questions on them. Then she started to explain what they were supposed to do. Okay, students, this is a math quiz that we will be doing each morning, the teacher began. You must answer as many questions as you can in 30 seconds. After the 30 seconds, we will go over the answers. All of the kids looked around at each other, thinking that 30 seconds really wasn't much time. The teacher looked at the big clock above the chalkboard and said, "Ready, set, go." The kids picked up their pencils and started adding and subtracting as fast as they could, trying to answer as many questions as possible in 30 seconds. Mike and most of the others kept looking at the clock more than their quiz. "Time's up," the teacher said. Everyone put their pencils down. All started looking around at students next to them to see how many questions that they had answered. Mike tried to hide his paper from the roaming eyes. From what he could see, the other kids had more answers. As they began to review their answers, Mike became more frustrated that he didn't do better. It continued to bother him when school was over. When he got home, he studied his math problems for a long time. The next day, Mike felt more prepared for the math quiz. The teacher walks around and puts the quiz on each student's desk. She looked at the clock and said, "Ready, set, go." Once again, everyone started answering as fast as they could. "Pencils down," the teacher said after time was up. Mike again felt as if he was not as fast as the others. It upset Mike even more that he had done all that studying and still didn't do as well as all the other students. He couldn't help but think that the other kids were smarter. At the end of the school day, Mike stayed behind to help the teacher clean up the room after a messy art project. He often did this. "Thank you so much for staying behind and helping me with this big mess," the teacher says. "Oh no, William forgot his jacket. I better run and give it to him before he leaves." "Okay, I'll stay in here and finish," Mike said. After the paintbrushes were cleaned, he decided to put them on the teacher's desk. On the desk was an open folder with the next day's math quiz and the answers. Mike thought to himself how tired he was of not being as good as the other kids. So without thinking twice, he took the answer key. That night, he went over the answer key, memorizing all the answers. The next day, as they all sat at their desks, he was ready to take the quiz with no worries. After time expired, the class waited to go over the answers. "That's weird," the teacher said. "I seem to have lost the answer key." "Oh well, we will go over them as a class." After the class reviewed the answers, the teacher asked, as always, "Did anyone finish the quiz and get all the questions right?" Mike raised his hand, and all the kids actually clapped and cheered for him. He was the first person to complete the whole quiz and get them all right in the short time allowed. Since you were the first person in the class to finish and get 100% correct, the teacher said, you get a lunch with me and the principal on Friday. Mike was at first happy at his new popularity, but he soon felt bad because he knew that he didn't deserve the recognition. He had cheated. The rest of the day, he was quiet, wishing that he had never taken the answer key. He was still glad that he got all the answers right, but never thought that there would be so much made of it. To his surprise, when he went home that day, his mom had already found out about him doing so good on the math quiz. Your teacher called me, his mom said. I'm very proud of you. Mike should have been happy to hear that, but it just put him more on edge. That night, he dreamed of walking into a room where everyone was talking about him. The only thing that he can hear them say was cheater. He woke up in a panic, knowing that he could no longer live with this lie. Mike was nervous when he went to school Friday, which was the day of the special lunch with the teacher and the principal. The whole morning, all the kids talked about how lucky he was to have a special lunch. Mike wanted to tell the teacher what he did, but was afraid that everyone would be mad at him. So he kept it to himself. He thought that if he can just get through the lunch, he would be okay. For their lunch, the principal had set a table aside just for them. Mike was surprised to find his mom there. Mom, I didn't know you were going to be here, he said somewhat nervously. I know, she replied. I wanted to surprise you. I am so proud that you are doing so well in math. We like to reward students that work hard, the principal said, smiling at him proudly. Mike couldn't continue with this lie. He felt as if it was eating him alive. He stared at the floor. Are you okay? The principal asked. No, I have to tell you something, he said almost in a whisper. I cheated on the test. I found the answer key and memorized all the answers. I'm so sorry. He then turned and ran away. Mike's mom and teacher ran after him until he stopped. Why did you cheat on the quiz? His mom asked. I wasn't doing so well on those quizzes, he replied. So why didn't you study harder? She asked. I did, he said, but I still didn't do as well as the other kids. Did you do better after studying? Yeah, he said. And that's what it's about, Mike's teacher said. You can study and practice and give it all you have, but there may always be someone better. But I thought that you work hard to be the best, Mike said, trying to understand. Yes, his teacher explained. You work hard to be the best that you can be. Mike learned that week that it doesn't matter so much if you're the best. What really matters is that you give it your best.